what it is, what's happening. So I see some people are kind of invested in the Bronco and what's going on with the motor. Well, I've had a little bit of time to give it some more thought, and I posted a video on YouTube and on my TikTok, and I actually posted it on my reels on Instagram. And a buddy of mine who worked at a machine shop, he reached out to me and we got to talking. And I told him the motor's not a sludged motor. You can see it's not a sludged up motor. And the intake runners are not really nasty carboned up. I mean, this thing's only got like 97, 98,000 miles on it. It was older people owned, so it wasn't a used truck. It was pretty well maintained. He seems to think that the intake, since we have a problem on just the intake valves, he seemed to think that maybe they're carboned up and they're sticking. And I said, I agree with that. I kind of think that as well. Just the only thing that's throwing me off is how it ran absolutely fine the night before, shut it off, go to restart it, and it does it then. So what he's thinking is, because this is the first time I've actually had it running long enough, maybe it got hot, there's carbon on there and they're sticking. They were just happened to be in the right position when they're open, and they stuck there, and then when I went to crank on it, they popped off. Another friend of mine who used to work at the Ford dealership when these trucks were new said they had quite a few of them do that back in the day, and they always either put a head on it or send the head out. So what we're going to try is, my buddy who used to work at the machine shop said, give this here stuff a try. I've never used this product, Berryman B12. So what we're going to do is, we're going to undo all of our intake rocker arms. We're going to go ahead and loosen all of them up. That way we know all of our intake valves are closed. And then we're actually going to pour it in the intake runners, fill the intake runners up, all 6 of them. We're going to let it sit. We're going to let it sit overnight until about 6 o'clock tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'll pull the plugs out of it. I'll spin the motor over. Probably make a mess, which that's fine. Pressure wash it off. Put plugs in it, put it back together, and fire it up. Now, I've had a couple people say, it's probably got a bad cam, got bad lifters. Thing is, when I put the rocker arms back on last night, I put my starter button on, and I crank it over, and everything on the valve train is moving like it's supposed to. Everything's moving. So I don't think we got a bad camshaft. I don't think we have a bad lifter. Because when it did run good, which was just a night ago, when it was running on all 6, it was running good, running smooth. Put it in gear. I actually power braked it. I did not drive it down the road, but I actually power braked it, and it's got 32-inch tire on it. It would actually break the tire loose, which, you know, not very impressive, but it was making power. When it started running rough, that's when it was pinging and terrible spark knock, which is obvious because I've got 3 cylinders dead in the wind. And it's only running on 3. So it's just really baffling how it ran really well, and I've never had any of those push rods off before. The only cylinder I had one push rod off of, and that was when I went to do the valve cover gasket. I had no idea that it was like this. When I pulled the valve cover off to just replace the gasket, I found this intake valve, the push rod was off just like the other ones were. And I put it back on. And the only reason I did the valve cover was, you know, I said, well, I'm here. You have to pull the plenum off to do the valve cover anyway. I thought, I'm doing the injectors. I'll just go ahead and do the valve cover gasket because I'm here. Now, I've had some guys ask me, why don't I just pull this motor and put it in the trash? Well, here's the thing. Yes, this truck is going to be something I'm going to swap the motor in down the road. First step was get all the brakes on the truck done, get the truck running right, go get it tagged. Then I'm going to bring it back in the shop. We're going to put a 6-inch lift on it with long radius arms. Then about midsummer, I'm going to put either 460 with a ZF 5-speed or a 7.3 IDI with a 5-speed. I have both. I've got a complete 90 F250 out back, 460 four-wheel drive, 5-speed. And I cut up a truck at the old house before I moved here, 7.3 ZF 5-speed truck as well. I have everything to swap either one of those motors in. The 7.3 has less than 5,000 miles on it. Makes sense to use that motor. And I've always wanted to build a 7.3 Bronco. Kind of always wanted to do a power stroke, but since I got the IDI, what the hell. I have half of Banks turbo kit for 7.3 IDI, but I only have half of it. I'm missing some of the brackets and some of the piping. It just was gone off the truck that I got it off of. So if I hunt down the rest of the stuff, the plan was, if I use the 7.3 IDI in this truck, the plan was to hunt down the rest of the pieces that's missing from the Banks kit, put it on here. It would be a 7.3 with a Banks turbo with a 5-speed. Kind of cool. Something they never built that they probably should have built. Kind of be neat. Now I know some guys are going to say, well, they built a 4-door Centurion. Yeah, well, that really isn't a Bronco. That's kind of a pickup that they cut and put a Bronco back on. It's not the same thing. So back to this turd. That's what I'm going to do this evening. I'm going to pull all these rocker arms off the intake right now. And I'm going to go ahead and fill all the intake runners up with that product. And I'm just going to put my plastic back on the motor, close the hood, and walk away from it. I'm just going to leave the stuff sit in there overnight into the next day, and then we'll drain it out and we'll see where we're at. And I'll make another video, show you where I'm at. But like I said, you can look at it. It's not a sludged up, tore up motor, and when it was running right, it sounded really good. It's just a 6-cylinder. But I mean, you can see that it's not a greasy, dirty piece of garbage, and you can see the intake runners are not even that terrible. So I don't believe we have catastrophic failure. I think we just got intake valves sticking, something goofy like that. So we're going to go ahead and give this a try. If this doesn't work, I guess I'll pull the head. I don't want to pull the head, but I guess I'll have to. I just don't want to. I don't want to put that much time in this motor. But I would like to get this motor run right, like I said, because I think it would just be easier to get this thing straightened out and running right than I can do the rest of the stuff. And like I said before, if I get it tagged in my state, if it's stock, we can tag it antique. That's why I'm pushing to get this thing fixed right. It'd be a lot easier to get it tagged antique, all stock. And then once it's tagged, it's tagged for the life that I own it. As long as I keep insurance on it, I never pay for tags ever again. I never take it back to DMV ever again. So that's what's going on with the Bronco. And I will make another video tomorrow and let you guys know where we're at with this toilet. Holla at your boy. Keep it reals.